We are so excited to have you here. Thank you very much for spending this time with us. My name is Chantel Bruinsma-Duffield, and we're going to be kicking off in just a few seconds, actually. And I'm so fortunate to have the beautiful, beautiful Karen Malek with us here today, which is an incredible treat for all of us. So if you are just joining, come and say hello, howdy doody. If you would, someone wouldn't mind being my little tech support bestie and just typing into the comments section if you can see both Karen and I, you can see my slides, you can hear me as well. Are we all set to go on the technology side? Because that's often our fun. Good morning. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Suzette. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Samantha. Hello, lovely Marcy. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, and Charlotte. Excellent. Thanks, Julie. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, Rain. How are you? Thank you, lovely Emily, Tanya. We've got lots of people joining us right now, and this is going to be the most magnificent, magnificent time together. So also, just a little bit of housekeeping before we do kick off. If you have a particular question you would love to ask one of our superstars today, we're going to be having a bit of a live chat thread in the Facebook group in the Planner Hub. So I believe Michelle's kind of got that already for you. So if you find that you've had a little bit of a light bulb moment or you hear something you love, we want to be able to share this information with more of our community so that even if they're out teaching right now or they're doing something important, they can still get some of this knowledge and gain some of this information. So if you do have something, jump back over to Facebook and do comment in the thread so that we really can help to, help more people feel involved. So if you want to do that, that will be fabulous. Likewise, if you've got a question, just pop it either in the chat box here or you can pop it into Facebook, and we'll be checking that as we go today. So I believe we are nearly about ready to kick off. I think it's 10 o'clock, and we always like to be prompt here. So I would like to formally welcome you to today's Superstar Studio Owners Q&A session, and I'm so fortunate to have called on some of my friendly buddies here in the studio industry to be able to really share with you their wisdom, their insight, their genius, their experience in what has been the keys to really not only surviving in this industry but thriving, and how to create a successful business, and so that you too can go out and make a more of a profound difference in your communities, reach more students, and share your love of performing with more kids. So first and foremost, this is incredibly exciting. Likewise, this is a little reminder for myself. So do jump into Facebook, and if you have a little idea, if you've got a question, if you've got something you learned from today's, or you want to kind of have more information, feel free to keep the conversation going in the Facebook Planner Hub. So jump over into there and post your comments there. But today, first up, I would love to introduce you to Karen Malek. Karen is a woman I admire above all. And truly, you're going to blush, Karen, as I say this, but I really do believe that you are the reigning queen of the Australian dance industry with your level of passion. This woman is prolific, and she's had experience from running studios, from having a son who's a performer, to now running Transit Dance, to being the president of the ATOD. This woman wears many hats, has incredible accomplishment, and we have so much we can learn from her. And so today I'm just incredibly thrilled to have you here. So Karen, welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful intro, and I'm feeling very humbled and a little emotional. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good start to an interview then. We're off to a good start already. So for those of you who may not have been in contact with Karen, those of you who are from overseas, Karen, would be so lovely if you would share for just a little bit about where you started and how you got into the dance industry, and now how you've come to this place of now being the president of the ATOD, the Australian Teachers of Dancing, for those who don't know. So Karen, we'd love to hear a little bit about your background and where you got to where you are.
Thank you. I grew up in the Latrobe Valley, which is a coal mining, electricity producing region of Victoria in southern Australia. And I grew up in a family of 10. I'm one of 8 children. So to even have my parents give me the gift of dance was an incredible opportunity. All the children were allowed to do one thing and one thing only. And fortunately for me, it was a toss-up between brownies and dance. And dance was on that night, and brownies not till Friday night. So I went to dance and fell in love. And the studio became my safe haven. I had a wonderful ballet teacher who had many students go on to the Australian Ballet and long, successful careers as performers in classical ballet particularly. And many of her students went on to teaching careers, and that is what I aspired to do. We never did exams when I was young. She was an RAD trained teacher. And when I was a teenager, she did join an organisation with parental pressure. Parents really wanted the exams, and it wasn't RAD. And my father said, why should I find the money for an exam? We've done fine up until now. And she said, well, Alan, she may want to teach one day. And I heard all this and I did a bit of a backflip because I hadn't considered that as a career. So from there I did my exams, and after I did my elementary I could do my junior teachers, which I did with her. And 2 years later I decided to start a satellite school in a new town called Churchill, which was about 10 minutes from Morwell, where I lived. And I didn't want to open up in direct competition to my teacher. So over time, when my teacher came to retire, a friend and I took over her school, and we ran that together for about 10 years. And it continued on in Morwell after I left to move to Melbourne. Our son Paul got into the College of Arts in Melbourne at age 12. It's a year 7 to year 12 program, and we didn't want to board him in a hostel. So the whole family up and moved, sold up, moved to Melbourne, and it was the best thing we ever did. And I started a school in Melbourne called Dance Discovery, and the slogan was a whole new world of dance, and to discover this whole new world of dance, the how, the why, the when and the where. And I wanted children to be inquisitive, to ask questions, to understand why they were dancing and why they did something, and not to be fearful of asking questions. And I wanted them to learn more than just the steps. And over that 10 years that I had Dance Discovery, I had 5 schools and I employed 20 teachers. So it became a little bit of an empire, which was exciting on one hand, and I really worked very hard through my 40s and into my early 50s before I sold the school for family reasons. And I really did miss the children, particularly in the classroom. But my family needed me. I had a young teenager. My youngest child wasn't the nicest teenager. She's an absolutely gorgeous girl, and was as a child and is now as an adult, but she had a period of time where she was challenging. And my husband was looking sad and lonely when we all came home of a night. He had no longer had children to feed and read stories to and put to bed. They'd all grown up and they were out with me at the studio. And when we got home of a night, he'd be in the middle of a movie. So we became ships passing in the night, and I was concerned that when I did retire from teaching, we wouldn't know each other. So I thought it was in my family's best interest that I spend some time at home. And I took my daughter to school every morning. I picked her up every afternoon. I took her to her dance classes. I was very much hands-on and there for her and for my husband. And we fell in love all over again. And I have to say that we are happier now than we've ever been, which is really lovely. But at the same time, I decided to go back on the board of directors of ATOD, and an opening came up to be the president, and I when they suggested that to me, I was a little bit aghast. I hadn't seen that in my future. I didn't aspire to that. But that did happen, and I'm now coming up to 10 years in the role and coming up to another AGM and considering my future, whether I continue on in that role or hand over to some new blood. So I had always been passionate about ATOD and knew that they could be a force in the world of education, and I wanted to really take it to the next level and let the world know about it. And we did get some funding from Austrade. We were able to promote ourselves overseas, take our products overseas, and where we just examined in 2 or 3 countries, we now examine in several. And we are spreading the word. And I think our syllabi are very easy to follow, easy to use, lovely to teach, and our membership base has grown astronomically over that 10-year period. And I'm very proud of the work that I've done along with the team. It's not something you do on your own, but learning about strategic planning and governance has helped me be a better dance teacher. I have still taught for some other teachers along the way. I haven't lost that love of teaching. And now that I have transit dance with Paul, here we go again. It's exciting, very exciting. So that's a little bit of my background in a nutshell.
Marcy just asked, what is ATOD? So it's Australian Teachers of Dancing, Marcy. It's a incredible curriculum that many studio owners here in Asia Pacific really now is probably the better definition. Karen, would you say, of who really uses the curriculum?
Yes, but we also have members now in Canada, America, England, etc. So it is very exciting.
So it's the global. It's the global.
It is becoming global.
We should GTOD. GTOD is probably the next rebrand.
Yes. We have curriculum. We started with classical, tap and jazz. We updated all our syllabi and systems of training, and then we created a hip-hop syllabus, which a lot of people were opposed to because that's an ever-changing genre. And then we started a contemporary system of training, which is phenomenal. And again, that's ever-changing. We added a street tap syllabus to align with our tap system of training. We have a national system of training, national character, and we have an amazing preschool program and have done preschool for about 20 years. So it was about updating all our systems of training on a regular basis, which we do every 7 years. And when we update something, we provide the new resources free of charge to the members who are financial members. They can exchange their old resources for new. We didn't want to be accused of updating as a revenue raiser.
Yes.
Correct. We do get profits from examinations, and that helps us to update our resources, but the company is very much working for the member and their students, because really the members are the people who own the company. It's a not-for-profit organisation, and I think we have the right philosophies and goals in place regarding those things.
And it all comes back to the community of members you have, which is why I so value what you do at ATOD. So Karen, we've got a lot of beautiful studio owners on the line, and your experience has been so fascinating in the regard that you've run a rural-based studio, you've run a metropolitan-based studio, you've now kind of run more of a contemporary-based program. You know, I would love for you to share, and reflecting on your past and what's got you here, when you've been running the studios in different locations, different and even different kind of styles of studio, I suppose. What have you found to be, like, if you were to distill it all into a few things that have really been the contributing factors to getting traction in the studio, to creating success and creating a thriving business, what would you say have been really instrumental in your philosophy of studio management?
You have to keep reinventing yourself. You cannot rest on your laurels. Because someone is going to come along and open a studio, perhaps nearby, perhaps not, but you want to provide your students with the best you possibly can to make them the best artist. If they are having different experiences, life experiences, going to the beach, going to the park, going to the football, going to other activities, we don't want them to do too many, we want them to dance, but still for them to have an opportunity to have a life. You want to grow the next generation of amazing adults. They need to be able to speak to people from all walks of life. If they're good enough to be a performing artist in dance, they have to have experiences to reach into and to delve into to be the best artist they can be. So it shouldn't be dance, dance, dance. It should be, there should be a balance for those children. So, you know, we want to really encourage that in the parents, not to push them if possible. That's hard for some parents. But if you can provide them with opportunities, whether it's performing in the community or whether it's having guest teachers in from time to time, that you know will inspire them to be the best they can be, for them to celebrate each other's, their friends' attributes and the things that they're good at, as well as appreciate their own skills and know what they need to work on. I think we're helping parents and schools, mainstream schools, to grow the next generation of amazing adults, you know, particularly because dance won't be in everyone's future. We want them to look back and go, I love to dance and I'm going to take my own children to dance one day.
Which will then ensure the population of the arts industry going forward, which is so essential. So I guess it's that kind of borderline, I guess, balance between that many studios I think struggle with, Karen. It's like that level of like aspiring to professional competitive excellence, but then also just sustaining the quality of love of dance. How do you reconcile those two? Sometimes we have to kind of push the students and sometimes we have to support them. How do you find, as when you're breeding young artists, that you find that sweet spot of getting them to really become the best of the best and still nurturing, I suppose, in some way? Because sometimes especially in the dance industry, I find myself, my own childhood especially, I found that too, that sometimes there's very much an iron fist ruling in trying to get kids to be their best. What's your approach to that when you're working with really talented young artists?
I think if they're talented, they want to be the best they can be anyway, if they have that mindset. And it's about fostering positivity so that they feel confident in their abilities, perhaps even encouraging all your students to have a journal and for them to celebrate their successes along the way. I did a week's workshop opportunity with a psychologist from England whose wife has a dance studio. The Australian Ballet School brought him out and he said, our studio is not your average studio. The ballet bars are painted bright red, bright green, yellow, blue. There are colours in the studio because we want the children to come in and feel happy and alive. There are lines on the wall so that when their développé or arabesque line reaches that lower level, it goes in the book, they get a star. Athletes celebrate a second off their personal best time. Or if they're an Olympian athlete, they celebrate 100th of a second. What do we celebrate? We're always striving to be better, to do better. If we can think about encouraging them to celebrate all those little milestones and to say, well done, you're amazing. Oh, we are doing a good job. It's not just about teaching the steps. I think teachers will agree with that. And particularly seeing the little person come alive who's a bit shy or might have two left feet. Every child in your care is your responsibility to do the best you can by them. Their parents all pay the same money. Please don't just focus on the talented ones. The talented ones will go ahead in leaps and bounds, and if they want it as a career, they're going to have it. But you have to work on those other children, that they're the ones who will be the audiences for the performing arts if they love it. They're the ones who will bring their children in turn. They're the ones who will ensure that your schools continue to thrive, because how true is it that we teach the children, then we teach the teachers' children, and then we teach their grandchildren as our teaching careers go through the years.
It's such a privilege. It's such a privilege. So creating a culture of celebration it seems like is one of your real philosophical pillars, I suppose. You're very fortunate to be able to go and travel and work and visit, studios around the world and really see what they're doing in their businesses. So culture of celebration, what other kind of values, I suppose, have you seen studios creating and really adopting as the methodology that they build everything around? What else would you say are the kind of the interesting things that studio owners can concentrate on to be able to really create this beautiful experience for their students?
When I've gone to examine, I have come to some studios where I feel they are a benchmark to aspire to. The first one was many years ago. The way, the organisation, it was beautifully organised. The children were beautifully mannered. They seemed to be very keen to please, to help one another, to be kind to each other. And it was just very obvious in the running of, I think it was a 4 or 5 day exam session. And when I finished, I thought, this is the school to aspire to. And that was on the Sunshine Coast. And I've never forgotten it. And then more recently, someone joined, and their school in South Australia has become another school that I admire for different reasons. The children come in and they say, my name is, and they speak eloquently, with good diction, with confidence. So when the examiner is checking their names, she doesn't have to say, oh, number 1, can you tell me your name? Or is your name Sarah? Yes. You know, and some children are shy. But they come in and they speak, and they're trained to speak. And not only that, their work ethic is incredible. I want to tap into this woman's mind. And I have to share with you who she is. She's an amazing woman. She's a mother and a grandmother, and her school is pretty phenomenal in terms of what I see as an examiner. So there's lots of things people can do, teachers can do, to improve the running of their schools, I'm sure. And I'm fortunate that I get to see those things in other studios. The one thing that I would like to share with teachers that I've been doing on a regular basis over the last just few years, so in my late 50s to now, I ask my students how they're going at school. Put your hand up if you like school. And one group of children, very few hands went up. And I thought, my goodness, what's happening? And I do know there's a whole generation of students who can't spell. And I said, who loves English? Because who doesn't love English? Who doesn't love to read, to write? And not many hands went up. And again, I was a bit mortified. And I said, put your hand up if you have to go to the front of the room to read in class from time to time. All their hands went up. Put your hand up if you enjoy it. Not many do. So I taught them how to read, running 2 fingers down the page, so that they can look up from time to time at their audience, and they can look down and they haven't lost their place. Some people run their fingers down the side of the page. And I told them that, I asked them, who wants to be a dance teacher one day? Now, most of them put their hands up, not because they really do, but because they want to please you and they want to be like their dance teacher. And so many dance teachers are so young and beautiful and princess-like. And that's what they aspire to be. They want to be like their ballet teacher or dance teacher because they fall in love with how they make them feel. And I said, well, if you want to be a dance teacher, you have to be able to spell. You have to be able to write newsletters. So you have to be able to write stories. So I want you to promise me that you're going to work super hard in class. You have to go to school. You can't get out of it. So if English is not your favourite subject, I want you to turn that around. I want it to become your favourite subject. And as well as writing all these lovely things in your dance journal, turn the page over and I want you to start writing things from school that you can come and share with me from time to time. And a couple of months later, I said, and I did maths as well because they have to do invoices. And then a couple of months later, I asked them how school was going, and the hands were flying. And they said to me, oh, my teacher said my spelling's much better. My teacher said I'm reading much better. And I thought, have I really helped them do better at school? And it got me thinking, you know, parents are busy working now, where when I was a younger teacher, not everyone was working, or they might have been working part-time to pay the dance fees. Now most people are working to pay off mortgages and to put food on the table and so on. And I thought, am I really having an influence here with school? And yes, I am. And this is not the first time I've done it. I've done it at 2 schools now. And the improvement in their schoolwork has been such that parents have come and thanked me, like they've heard about what I said to them. And I think dance teachers have a real opportunity to impact the lives of their students in more than just dance. And that was just one little chat I had. I know we shouldn't be chatting, we should be dancing, but that meant more to me. That if they do, I've always considered if they do well in dance, they're going to do well in school.
It's true.
And
I really believe that, at core, who are we? What are we? We are educators first. And education is more than just steps. It is holistically educating the child. And if we have an opportunity to educate them in comprehensive education, my goodness, what a gift. And, so I was just thinking, Karen, it's so funny, like this little training here is called Superstar Studio Owners, but really, given what you've just said, we should call it Superhero. Because, that's like above and beyond just thinking about the experience we give the kids. But actually, what I love about what you just shared so much, Karen, is it's the compassion and the care for the students that sings through. This is not just thinking about, and then how indebted will the parents be to you, or not indebted is the wrong word, but how devoted would they be to you when they know the experience the kids are getting in your classes are not just about steps and dance. It's actually, you're really truly invested in the child, and that for me is like, if we live our life in that way, we will sleep soundly all our days with a happy heart. Happy heart.
I think because I'm a little bit older, I look back on the first school I had, and my business partner has become a primary school teacher. She's always has been an amazing educator. And we did have lots of very talented students who went on, and lots of other lovely children who have now fine careers in various fields. In fact, one of them is the right-hand main personal secretary to our current Prime Minister.
Wow.
She's a lawyer, and she was the child who I hung upside down on the bar. She was the one who loved to have a joke and play around. And I always never wanted to squash her personality because she was unique.
Yes.
And she's gone on to forge this amazing career for herself. Not only her, there's many others. But I look back and I wonder if I spent the right amount of time on all the children, or did I just focus on the ones who had talent? Because I always promised myself I would never have favourites, because my dance teacher did, and I learnt from that was not how to teach. And so I guess I worry that perhaps I did subconsciously work harder with those who had talent than those who didn't. And that's not how you should teach. And, I've learnt from that. And although I did get a lovely email recently from someone I taught about 20 years ago, for a very short time, thanking me for the impact I had on her. And she's a veterinarian now working in Canada. Very successful young lady. And it was the most beautiful email I got. But I still worry I didn't give those early students the same. So my philosophy now is very much to treat every child the same, to make them strive to be the best they can be. So if that helps any young teachers out there, then I'm really happy about that.
Well, we're getting some incredible, beautiful comments here. I mean, even Carla has just written in, so amazing, Karen. Some parents don't understand the chat time and the importance of it. It's not just about dance, it's about helping raise the future leaders of our communities, it's interesting to think about, while we might look at those initial 10 minutes of a class, the very first little 10 minutes just to kind of get the connection with the kids in the room, that can be seen as a sacrifice to the real learning. However, it's quite contrary. And how valuable that time is in spending just building the relationship, I suppose.
Yes, but you could have a handout. If the children are little, I do handouts, and it pertains to the class plan. So parents can see what they're working on. But I could even do a little note explaining to the parents, today we had some chat time, and I talked about how important schooling is, because someone who works hard in the studio classroom generally works very hard at school, and I wanted to make sure that everyone was working really hard in their main formal subjects like English and maths and so on. So you could speak to the parents, keep them advised, be transparent. I think they'll appreciate that, and they'll understand what was going on.
Truly. One of
Yeah.
so one of the core philosophies we teach here in the retention solution, one of our programs, is that the three pillars of retention are variety, connection, and progression. And essentially, like if things are kind of the same old, after a while retention will drop because the kids will be like, yeah, I've seen this before. It's kind of, they need some, like, especially this generation needs lots of like, new things to stimulate them. The connection, the relationship. But the third is progression. We've really identified that if the parents aren't seeing the level of development, because it's our responsibility as teachers to be able to communicate that back to the families. If we're not making it easy for the parents to see how they're learning, how they're growing, the milestones that they're achieving, it becomes harder for the parents to justify forking out cash every week. So it's interesting thinking about how we can easily communicate back to the parents how the child is progressing. And so that's a really easy way, what you've said, linking a visual, tangible little handout. The parents go, oh, now I know what they're learning, and keeping them in the loop in a way that really comes back to the lesson plan, which is brilliant. I love that idea. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. And, that comes back to their journal too. If they're writing in their
100%.
journal what they learned, or putting their little handouts that they've decorated in their journal, parents will see physically and tangibly what they're working on. And it might just be that you've written VMO, and you might have started to teach children who are a little bit older about their vastus medialis oblique and how engaging that muscle is going to make their legs look fully lengthened in their arabesque line. And the parents can see they're learning about anatomy. What do French words mean in ballet? Doesn't matter what the genre is, there's technique and strong technique required in every genre, including hip-hop. And that can all go in there, and those parents are seeing that they're learning not just how to dance, but how, why, when, and where.
Good philosophy.
Really important.
We've had a little question come in on Facebook for you, Karen. So if you are on the line, please, there's a big whole chat thread happening on Facebook right now. Karen and I aren't on there, but Michelle is there with you if you want to kind of ask any more questions. So I've had a question for Karen. Where do you see the future of the studio industry, and what trends are you seeing right now? That would be kind of one. I'm not sure who wrote that in. Michelle didn't say, but where do you see we're going?
I think there has certainly been a trend to add tricks and acrobatic skills to competitive dance. I don't see that that's entirely necessary, and I think that's been to the detriment of dance in some ways. I do believe that everyone should be well-rounded, and I have no problem with students learning acrobatic skills. But I'll give you an example of what I mean. A more senior age group at an Eisteddfod a couple of years ago, and I started to put a little mark on everything that was done on the right leg, particularly kicks or leaps or whatever it was, some trick of some sort. It might have been a walkover, it might have been an aerial. One girl had 17 things on the right leg. I don't need to see her kick her right leg 17 times. And that was repetitive. It wasn't just a whole set of skills. It was actually kicks. Then another girl, she was a lefty. She did 13 on the left leg. And because I include choreography, and that is a debatable question, I appreciate that, I felt that the choreographic content was compromised and the use of pattern and direction was compromised. And I'm very open. I've seen an amazing solo done in a spotlight circle. They didn't move off that spotlight. I've seen an amazing solo done in a diagonal line, but that was its clear intention and purpose. But for mainstream, when you're teaching children, if there's not variety, if there's not use of levels, if the tricks and kicks and turns are repetitive and maybe even not done well, you're not going to thrill me, and I'm going to mark the choreography down, particularly if it's too hard for the child. It's pretty black and white. Or we could have another whole session on competitions for wet aids. Engage that VMO, fully lengthen the supporting leg, and you will nail them. Yeah, I see that trending. I'm not sure that that's a great thing. I like to see inspiring choreography, and choreography well suited to the child. In Australia, I think that we are headed towards regulation of the industry, and I'm a passionate ambassador for regulation. I will be very supportive of that when it happens. I'm also very supportive of people having teaching qualifications, and there's another huge argument around that. And yes, you don't need a qualification to be a good teacher, but you can't teach in a primary or secondary school without a qualification. And the things that you can learn by doing a qualification and by ongoing professional development is phenomenal.
Yes.
You know, there's 14 units of work in the national qualification in Australia, and that covers a broad range of topics. But it is just teaching basic dance. So for young people starting out, and even for older people, that's a great start. That is the prerequisite to doing the diploma, which is based on medium level and high level dance. So I'm a passionate advocate for having a piece of paper, and I think if compulsory registration comes in one day, and I believe it will in the younger teacher's lifetime, it probably won't in my lifetime of teaching, hopefully in my lifetime, because I'd like to see it happen, but maybe not in my teaching lifetime, because it will take great consultation with the industry. But I do see that is where the dance industry is going, and I think it needs to. We need to continue to evolve and develop.
And that will serve our students, that will serve our businesses, the level of professionalism, the level of insight and learning. I was speaking with a teacher the other day, actually, and she's been teaching for 30 years, I believe. And she changed her classroom kind of setup. And you know how she kind of engages with the kids, and she's tried different things of how they enter and how they exit. And she said I thought I was an old dog who couldn't learn any new tricks. And she's like, I think in a whole different new way. And she, you know, the level of insight she has into her students has completely shifted, and she's really engaged on a whole nother level as well in her passion for coming into the room with her kids, because she's got more ideas and more fulfillment, and
wonderful.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And because that's, you know, when we think about, like, energetically, I believe that when we come into the classroom with our eyes shining bright and our kind of, let's try this, that is infectious. That is infectious. And the more professional development we can do to bring that back, and secondly, to mentor our team of teachers in getting their eyes sparkling, that's our role. So first of all, our role is to take responsibility for making our eyes to kind of be all the joy, then to be able to model that and empower our teachers to be able to deliver that same level of contagious enthusiasm and passion for dance, passion for music with their students is, for me, the heart of what our role is as a studio owner, really. That's my little soapbox, Karen.
I think that you are spot on. The best dance teachers never stop learning. They're always going off and doing professional development of some sort. That's why they're with you, to gain more information on how they can improve, how they can run their businesses better. And I still do professional development because I don't think I know it all. I'd love to know it all, but I never will, because I'm never going to stop learning. And I think that's a great thing. I now teach teachers, and it's such a joy, and what we share with one another. And some people share experiences I've never heard of, and that's an eye-opener. That those, you know, every year I hear something new that I can put in the back of my mind and keep as something if I need to deal with in the future. I have a heads up on it.
When you've watched Studio... I've got more questions too. Some good questions. This is a lovely question that's come in for you, Karen, actually, and I'll come back to what I was thinking. What are you most proud of? And actually working with either the studio... Maybe let's kind of keep this to, you know, your role kind of mentoring the industry. What are you most proud of when you've worked with studio owners and educators across the field? What makes you really get all warm and fuzzy?
Oh, wow. I know it's not industry related, but it has to be my family first. I can't help but not go family first, and the support we have for one another. They've enabled me to be who I am today and to do what I've done. Then I guess I have always had a philosophy of not looking back and having regrets. So doing what is honest in the moment, even if I make mistakes along the way, that's okay. And so today I'm super proud of where ATOD is now from where it was. And I'm super proud of Transit Dance, which is only 2 years old. We've just gone into our 3rd year. And if anyone out there are in Melbourne and would love to come and visit, please do. It's an environment where I open the door to enter in the morning and I smile. It has become my happy place because everyone is smiling, everyone is learning, and everyone seems to be on the same page, supporting one another and inspiring one another. And right at this moment in time, that is really my happy, exciting place. I do love warm and fuzzy, the people I've met on my journey, going back to Indonesia to examine in November for the first time in a long time. It was so great to see all those friends I've made over the years, and more recently to be in Thailand and to see all these people I haven't seen for about 4 years and to be able to give them a hug and see how their schools are progressing. I think the people I meet, actually, that's helped me think about that. Thank you for that question. I think the people I've met and the connections I've made and the more people helping one another as teachers and not keeping all their knowledge to themselves, which is what happens. I observed my teacher so many years ago. Yeah.
Yes, it's the learning from each other, and I'm very passionate about collaboration within our industry because I feel that none of us have the answers, and to be able to share what's going to make our lives easier. To if we kind of come back to, if we zoom right back to what is our core vision, what is our core reason for doing what we do? It's to reach kids, and I really believe if we can help collectively do that across the industry, my gosh, what we could do. My gosh, instead of having closed doors, what we could achieve. And that excites me. That really excites me.
Yes. I had a teacher who opened a school very close to one of my schools, and she advertised in the building underneath where I was with those little tickets you could tear off. So I tore one off and I went upstairs and I rang her and I said, "Oh, congratulations. I thought I'd welcome you to the area, and would you like to catch up for a coffee?" And she went quiet. And I said, "Hello?" And she said, "Why are you being so nice to me?" And I said, "Because I try to be nice." She said, she's from New Zealand and she'd been living in Australia, I think, about 4 years. She said, "You're the first dance teacher that's been nice to me." And I said, "Oh, there's lots of us. And if we meet for coffee, we actually might like one another. We might be able to help each other. My beginners classes are on Monday nights. If yours are Tuesday and we can't help someone who rings, maybe we can suggest each other's schools when we get inquiries." So we met up and we're still good friends. Wow. And why not? Isn't that what this industry is about? It's so small. Why not help one another? "Oh, I'm a teacher down. Have you got a spare teacher I can have?" "Oh, no, I don't." Or, "Yes, I do." "Oh, wow, that's awesome. Go help her." It's a great philosophy.
Different people respond to different. It is. It so is, Karen. Because again, like parents, every studio is different, and I truly do believe that each studio is this beautiful, unique little entity in itself, and that has particular values and particular intentions of what they want to give their students, and that should be and are different from the studio down the road. And if we each cultivate with intention, with thought, and with heart, and with care, if we really think about the experience that we want to deliver, that differentiation will carry, and that is for me the essence of studio marketing and studio management. Really, it is helping each studio to really discover what they are passionate about and to embody that across every touch point in the studio, so that student families will be attracted to them because of what makes them unique, not because of the other studio down the road, but because of the experience. And if we can each embody that level of just doing what we do with such integrity and with such excellence, that is the only thing we can do. And collectively, if we can all elevate the experience that we give in all of our studios, that is when we're going to see the arts gain better prominence across communities, gain more funding, you name it, everything we do, it starts with us. It starts with us as a studio owner. And the masterminds that we have and the brilliant people we have in this industry, my gosh, their brains and their contributions are immense. So with our powers combined, a bit of Captain Planet, I think, is to bring it together there, Karen, to really think what we could share and what we could do. What is your dream? What's your dream for our industry, Karen? Like, what would you love to really see happen like 50 years, 100 years from now? What would you love to really see as the... Yeah, let's go there.
Okay. Wow.
In your heart of
My
hearts.
actual dream is more short term, but long term.
Okay. Oh, we'll share both.
I'd like to see people getting on with each other, and let's not beat about the bush. Some people don't get on with people they were once friendly with because now they're rivals. If you think about it in a different way, you actually could be amazing support for each other. And that may never happen, but what a lovely thing to aspire to. So if the younger generation can, start meeting, I see it happening now on Facebook. It is becoming a little more prevalent, particularly in my hometown. I see it happening, teachers getting together and having chats about how they can improve things or how they can deal with the situation, which is really inspiring and uplifting to see. I would like to see the industry regulated. I would like to see people who wish to teach to take that career so seriously and to have training in teaching philosophies, understanding how children learn, and they all learn differently, to understand anatomically how to teach technique, how to stack bones, how to have correct alignment of the body, because you're responsible for the welfare and well-being of children's bodies and how they grow. And to be able to correct a forward tilt of the pelvis or rolling on the ankles or so on is another incredible gift you can give that child. But without the knowledge, just learning the steps is really not quite enough, and you have a great responsibility to keep up with your professional development and have qualifications, regardless of the naysayers and those who don't believe in them. They're valuable. They're valuable, and it shows that you care, and it shows that you want to learn. It in itself won't make you a great teacher. Experience will help with that. So for the future, regulation, people with really dedicated to professional development and support for each other in the industry is going to be a win-win. Yes.
We're getting quite a few comments coming through about qualifications, Karen, because I believe you actually coordinate a program that does provide teacher qualifications. Do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about that? Because I think people might be curious, and it might be good to just hear what is available, because maybe people may not know.
You have to be a registered training organisation to deliver qualifications on the national framework. Transit Dance is not an RTO, but we auspice with ATOD. So the qualifications we deliver are not ATOD qualifications. They're the qualifications on the national framework that ATOD as an RTO have on their scope, and we in turn can deliver. So anyone can auspice with ATOD to deliver qualifications, but there is a framework and there's compliance regulations and so on. And so we offer Cert 4 in dance, Diploma in dance. We will offer Advanced Diploma in dance eventually, and perhaps Diploma of Musical Theatre. We now do Diploma of Dance in both Contemporary stream and Performing Arts stream. And I offer the Cert 4 in Dance Teaching and Management. And in the first year I had about 10 teachers. In the second year I had 15 to 20. And this year I have 50 teachers. And I'm so thrilled.
Moly.
I know, I'm so thrilled
so
because
these
young people, the reason they came to do the course was they may already be on the full-time course, so they're doing it part-time over 2 years. They want another string to their bow, something to fall back on. What if they have an injury? One of them was, I've come to realise I'm passionate about teaching and I want to teach. So that's exciting. She'll still finish her full-time training. Others are there because they've been teaching a long time and they never had an opportunity in the country they originated from. And so now they're in Australia, they're coming to get that piece of paper. One is now working with disabled children. She's in her 40s or 50s. One from Mexico. From all over the world, they've come to live in Australia, and the reasons are varied, but they're real. And to have so many people wanting to study and be better teachers is amazing. And so many full-time dancers are looking for work. Who do you want to employ? Someone who's learning the steps, which I'm sure they're all some of them are amazing teachers because they've been helping at their studios and assistant teaching before they came to full-time? Or do you want someone who's actually studying to be a teacher as well and or completed their teacher training? That adds another dimension to what they can bring to your studios.
And I think that's a really tricky dilemma. I was speaking with a lovely studio owner in, it's a very central state in the States, Nebraska. I was speaking to a studio in Nebraska this week, Karen, and, she values, her whole philosophy in her studio is excellence. So she wants to hire the very best teachers. Challenge is, they're always getting I'm off on a gig for the next 8 weeks, I can't, come to class. Yeah. And it's this fine line between, again, like who we hire, who we bring into the experience of the kids and the consistency of how to, like you're saying, we can hire educators or we can hire dancers and performers. And that's for a lot of studios, it's that kind of tricky thing to navigate. And how do you kind of manage that? How do you find that balance?
We now have a philosophy, we have had from day one, that we want all our educators to be qualified.
Yes.
It's pure and simple. And if they're not, they need to have a look at doing the qualification via RPL, recognition of prior learning, and or doing the course.
Yeah.
So that we can say that we only hire qualified, experienced teachers. There is value in the tutors who have had professional careers. But if they are continually going off, that can be disruptive. That doesn't mean they can't bring added value in workshop experience and so on. But you want, for children, having normalcy through their training is advantageous to having several different teachers coming in, and it takes them time to get to know the children and where they're at. Yeah. If you can employ someone for 12 months at a time, that's a bonus. And I think that it's up to teachers to be discerning as to the type of teacher they employ, and are they the right fit for your philosophies? Are they dictatorial type teachers? Are they assertive? Are they passive? Are they aggressive? In your process of elimination or interview, you really need to ascertain that they're the right fit for your school and what you want to achieve for your students.
One of the things that we do, it's actually in the third module of the studio expansion program, is we elicit the studio's core values. And so we distill essentially their essence, their philosophy, their intention of the experience of the kids into 5 key words. And those key words form the foundation of all our marketing and all of our kind of retention strategies, but they actually also, we then turn that into a hiring framework. So we then hire based on the 5 key values. So when we're writing a job description for a teacher or for an admin staff, we actually write it with outcomes to meet the values. And then we have interview questions that aren't asking necessarily just for your experience, but we actually take it further to be actually asking. So let's say one of the core values for a studio is giving kids confidence. So we'll then actually have a series of questions that elicit from the teacher before they've even set foot in the studio, before they've even come into contact with the child. Can you share some experiences of how you have helped give a child more confidence? And we kind of go through whether it's teamwork, whether it's artistry, whether it's excellence, whether it's, so we want to know from a cultural perspective, when you're bringing someone in to meet your precious, precious, precious students, that they are going to embody this same philosophical intention that you do. And that for me is where we start to see across the board the excellence in the studio rise, when we're all on the same page. And that for me it's pretty exciting when you see that happen, and teachers go, my gosh, it's a whole different way of looking at bringing on teachers. It's pretty fun.
It is. I worked in family law for 20 years. There's another.
That's right.
I did. And my boss, who was really amazing lawyer, and always there for his clients, and never lied, because I've worked for several, but this one was amazing, and I worked for him for a very long time. He never wanted to see our school results. He wanted to know what our hobbies were. What did we do outside of work? And by knowing that I danced and that I taught, and by knowing that the girl next to me was an equestrian rider and had her own horse, he knew we were up early and we were hard workers. That's what he wanted. Hard workers and you also had to be able to spell. But his interview process was very different from the norm. He was way ahead of his time. He was very much into plain speaking. And those philosophies are really engendered in what you just spoke about. It's an amazing help that you're giving all these wonderful teachers. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, it is beautiful. Well, I know we've had so many beautiful comments here of just people going like, yes, 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 love everything that you are saying, Karen. And I'm sure everyone on the line here will just maybe just share one little thing, your favourite, just to celebrate Karen and to thank her so much for giving her time so generously with us today. And if you would just like to type in a comment that was your favourite thing you learned from Karen or what resonated with you most, that would be so lovely for us to pass back to Karen and to thank her as our way of thanking. We've had people say that this is so inspiring. We've had people say you're a woman after my own heart. We've had yes, yes, and yes again. We work together without fear. There are enough children to go around. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Haley has said that teaching dance is more than just teaching the steps, which is so much a part of who you are, Karen. And Jill said, "It's fully agree about the commitment to qualifications, the certification for instructors." It was a great presentation, which was beautiful. Chantel said that we're growing the next generation of adults. They're going to take that with them. Carla has said, "Thank you so much, Karen. You just reinstill everything that we all strive to achieve with our students and communities. Live without fear and help to raise the future community leaders. It takes a village to raise a child." Marcy has shared with you, Karen, that she's taking away that she's going to celebrate the milestones with students. Janelle has said, literally all such great advice and outlook. Thank you, with like love hearts. Renee has said, keep reinventing, but is 40 too old to get more educated? Renee! 40. No, you're just beginning, my friend.
They're your best years.
Absolutely. Gillian said, I loved this. I thought I was old in the performing arts area, but I'm revitalised and excited. Beautiful, Gillian, godly one. Megan has said, I love that you discourage teachers being enemies. I too have reached out to local studio owners and offered mutual respect. And you know, if every one of us just takes these little things that Karen has shared and really embodies them in our studios, my gosh, what an industry we will have. Suzette said, so inspiring. Thank you so much. Well, Karen, I am just so grateful we had this time with you today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I adore you. And every time I walk away learning more and having more commitment to really bringing our heart to what we do in our studio. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's so lovely to chat with you all. Thank you for inviting me, Chantel. And God bless
you are welcome. You are wonderful. You have a beautiful day, Karen.